We are very excited to have Gary Sinise here. Of course, he has had an amazing career. By the way, this music is from his band, the Lieutenant Dan Band, which is very cool. He starred in hit series like CSI New York, big movies, of course, like Apollo 13 and Forrest Gump, two of the greatest movies ever made. Of course, as Lieutenant Dan, he played a wounded war veteran, but it's the work that he does with real-life veterans and first responders that's really his passion and the driving force behind the Gary Sinise Foundation. Gary chronicles all of that and more in his new book, Grateful American, A Journey from Self to Sacrifice. Here it is. He just signed it for me. Gary Sinise, welcome back to Good Day L.A. Good to have you here.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's talk about this book. And it tells sort of your life story. It's a little bit different than typical memoirs that we would see. But it talks about how theater changed your life. Being cast as a young person, you ended up forming the Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago, which helped launch people like John Malkovich and Joan Allen and so many other people, and you were a driving force behind that. Talk to us about how theater sort of changed your trajectory.
Well, I struggled. I was a struggling student for many, many years, from kindergarten on. I just had a terrible time academically. I was, I got my first guitar in 4th grade, so that kind of gave me something that really I connected to. But academics, I just never connected. So I struggled. And I was playing in bands all the way through high school. I was standing in a hallway when I was a sophomore in high school with my band members. We looked pretty scruffy, and the drama teacher walked down the hall, and she turned to us and said, come and audition for West Side Story. You look perfect for the gang members. So, and then she blew off down the hall. And I thought not much of it, but after school, I kind of was standing around outside the audition, and I saw all the pretty girls going in there. So I walked in, and they gave me a script and said, read this part. And I stumbled through it, and I was cracking jokes, and people were laughing. She put me in the play, and it completely reversed the course of my high school days. All of a sudden, I found this thing that I was good at. I wanted to take all the drama classes, and as soon as I graduated from high school at 18, we got some kids together and we started Steppenwolf Theater. Steppenwolf is now about 45 years old now. We own 4 buildings, and we're building another one, and a lot of great actors have come out of there. And
it's so funny when you talk to actors how many of them were driven initially by finding the cute girls in drama classes. I know Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad told me a very similar story.
You know.
Of course, you've had so many iconic roles. Lieutenant Dan, probably the one you're known for best. You write about in the book these very moving stories of meeting with veterans. And you would walk in, a lot of the amputees would maybe not know you as Gary Sinise, but they would know you as Lieutenant Dan, and having you in their presence meant so much to them. How have those experiences changed your life and your perspective on veterans?
Very, very much. I document so much of this in the book, this journey from self to service, and this singular focus on my acting career and building that, and kind of, moving to Hollywood, getting involved in the movie business, getting the audition for Forrest Gump, auditioning for that, having Vietnam veterans in my family. I very much wanted to play the Vietnam veteran in Forrest Gump. I was lucky enough to get that part. And it introduced me to the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans Organization, because I played a double amputee, and they invited me to their national convention. I went to that. They wanted to give me an award. I walked out on stage. I tell the stories of how it impacted me in Grateful American. I saw 2,500 wounded veterans out there, and they were all cheering for me for playing a part in a movie.
Right.
And it started me on this road to try to help our wounded veterans, and after September 11th, I just went all in for it.
And now your foundation, Gary Sinise Foundation, which people can look up online and donate to, raising more than $30 million a year to help veterans, which is so impressive. And there was this video that came out recently of a lot of different people surprising you and thanking you for the work you've done. Many of them big-name people like Jay Leno and Ron Howard, and of course, we saw Tom Hanks, a part of that, your co-host, but also the veterans themselves, some of whom you had met, some of whom you hadn't met, and of course it went viral, you watching this video of all these people saying thank you. What do you think is the most important lesson you've learned from them that the rest of us should know?
Well, going to the hospitals multiple times over many, many years, you see people in various stages of their recovery. And I would go back over and over again and see somebody in bed, then go back 6 months later, they're in a wheelchair, then go back 6 months later, they're walking on prosthetic legs. But then they might have to go back and get additional surgeries. So the resilience and the perseverance of these folks was inspiring, has been totally inspiring to me. I started to raise money to build specially adapted smart technology homes for our badly wounded service members. You saw a couple of them there. Mm-hmm. We built homes for those guys. They're both ambassadors for my foundation. One of them is missing both his arms and both his legs. Mm-hmm. The other one is missing 2 legs and an arm. These are guys that have really sacrificed for our country. It's been a privilege to be able to do something, to kind of raise money to help them, right, to encourage the American people to come and support the Gary Sinise Foundation. It's all in the book.
Oh, you've done so much, and thank you for all of your service to so many different people. You're the best of what celebrity is, which is to highlight important issues. And all that, as you mentioned, is in this book, which we encourage you to get. There it is right there, Grateful American, A Journey from Self to Service. It's out now, and the Lieutenant Dan Band is playing at Cal Lutheran in Thousand Oaks on April 13th. There's a little bit of them. Gary Sinise, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Alex.
We'll be right back.
Come on up.